guys, welcome back to The Bright Side. Macy here, the Bright Side Girl, and today we're going to be doing my HIKEATHON book haul for 2025. So HIKEATHON is my nature activity in between spring and summer themed readathon. I will link the announcement up in the cards for you guys in case you missed it. This is going to be running from May 12th through May 26th, so a full 15 days, a Monday through a Monday. Like usual, I have been collecting books that I think will fit for HIKEATHON since last year's HIKEATHON. So I have a very large stack to share with you. I get most of these at used bookstores, library book sales, trading with friends. Most of these books I found between 50 cents and $3. There's a couple that I spent a little bit more on, but that's why the haul is able to be so large. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to read all of these for HIKEATHON, but they will go on my HIKEATHON section on my bookshelf for future readathons, and a lot of them are good to read for other times of the year as well. For HIKEATHON, instead of doing reading challenges, we have reading badges. So things like survival or set in nature. I will try to put the most prominent badges up when I'm talking about the books so that you can find ones for your own TBR. I was going to sort them out by sections, but a lot of them work for a lot of challenges, so I'll try to pick the ones that fit for specific ones and put as many badges up as I can. Also, real quick, I'm sorry I don't have a fun background for you guys like I have for the other readathons. I wanted to film a lot of this outside, but it is so loud out there between the dogs barking and the birds chirping and my neighbors driving by and they're like sawing trees down and stuff, so we're just going a little bit basic because I want to get as many videos up to you as possible, but we'll be nice in the theme for the reading vlogs, so stay tuned for that. So this video is going to have all kinds of books like contemporary, thrillers, post-apocalyptic, we've got some magical surrealism, we've got some fantasy, so lots of different styles of books. We have a lot to get through, so I'm not going to go super deep into the synopsis of each of these, but we'll give you the overall gist. Okay, I'm actually going to include this in two hauls because this one also works for Readathon, but Travelers Along the Way, this is a Robin Hood remix. That's all I know. I'm not going to dive too much into the synopsis. This is by Amina May Safi. This is a YA standalone, and Robin Hood is just the perfect retelling because they're like out in nature and they're bow and arrow hunting and there's just a lot to do with the woods and the forest. I thought this one would be great. Also like characters on a journey, so perfect. One that I have read and that I did order from blackwells.com UK. This is Sunrise on the Reaping from Suzanne Collins. This is one of the prequels to The Hunger Games, all the rage right now. This is Haymitch's story. I got the UK edition even though it's a larger size than my regular Hunger Games books because it is so freaking beautiful. And I was shocked that they didn't come out with like a fancy edition for the US version with how popular this book was. This book was everything. It was my favorite book of the year there for a second. I feel like it did the opposite of a reading slump. It actually made me excited to read again, even more so. And I've just been having like such a great time reading ever since I read this book. Even though it is dark, it is brutal, it is devastating, it's still done in such a beautiful way. I highly recommend that you read The Hunger Games first. They are perfect for the readathon before you read the prequels. I personally don't think it matters after you've read The Hunger Games whether you read Sunrise on the Reaping or Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Preferably Ballad first, but it won't be a big deal either way. But this one, it's just so good. She just did such an amazing job. Her writing is beautiful. This one works for the post-apocalyptic and the survival badge. You Shouldn't Have Come Here by Geneva Rose. I have read one Geneva Rose so far. She is a thriller author. This is an adult thriller. She is a thriller author. I have read one book from her so far. I didn't love it. It was like a 3-star, but I did think it was kind of a good one for beginner thriller people. I'm not sure how this one is going to be, but it's got like a cabin by the lake vibe to it. I know she's kind of trying to escape her busy life and she books this Airbnb in Wyoming in the middle of nowhere, and when she gets there she meets like this handsome guy that runs the place and he kind of shows her around, but things get kind of mysterious because there's like no cell phone service and he seems to be kind of sketchy, so thriller element in here. This one's definitely set in nature. I'll put any other badges that I think it will hit up here as well, but it looks perfect for HIKEATHON. All That Is Left in the World by Eric J. Brown. I know this is a YA male-male romance contemporary. So we have a deadly pathogen that's killed off most of the population. So we're post-apocalyptic, and I know these two like stumble across each other and they're trying to like survive in this new world. Forging Silver into Stars by Bridget Kamir. This one will work for the elemental magic prompt. I have never read one from Bridget yet, but this is a fantasy. I think it's part of a series. I'm not entirely sure. So we're in this fantasy world where people can forge silver and control ice and fire, and magic killed our main character's parents, and so she's forced to raise like her younger sister and try and survive. Also, there's like a tax collector that comes. I could be totally messing this up, but I don't want to go too deep into it. But it sounds great and like a solid fantasy, elemental magic, and survival read. This book has caused me a lot of time searching because I thought I had a hardback of this and I could not find it anywhere. So I was pleased when I found the paperback. But that is Even the Darkest Stars by Heather Fawcett. I am determined to read this one this year because I love Heather Fawcett's The Grace of Wild Things and Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. This one has a very different tone. I know this is like a wintry fantasy. I think she kind of wanted it to be about the first climbers to climb Everest and they're like tracking the stars. And so it has a lot to do with the elements and mountains and the stars. So lots of different badges for this one. I'm sure they'll be camping at some point. It's a duology, it's young adult, and it looks amazing. Under the Surface by Diana Urban. I'm a little nervous for this one. I think this one's going to be a little bit more gory than what I normally like, but I'm not sure. My sweet friend Elle sent me this one because she won it in a giveaway. I think she already had it. Oh, how cool. So this is I got a signed bookplate and a bookmark to go with it too. So they're on their like senior trip and they're like exploring the catacombs of Paris. And then things start getting like bloody and intense. We're gonna try it. I think we're gonna try it for HIKEATHON, so buckle up. Knife of Never Letting Go by Patrick Ness. This is part, I think, of a YA quartet that was really popular like back in the day. I never got to it. It is a movie with Tom Holland now that I really want to get to. Prentice Town isn't like other towns. Everyone can hear everyone's thoughts in an overwhelming, never-ending stream of noise. But in a town where privacy is impossible, there's a secret so awful that Todd, still a month shy of being a man, must run for his life. How do you escape when your pursuers can hear your every thought? I also think in this world that there are no women, or that they can't hear the thoughts of women or something like that. Then a girl shows up. Definitely a survival read. I think a little post-apocalyptic as well, but I would love to get to this one sometime soon. Beasts of Extraordinary Circumstance. This is an adult standalone. So orphaned and raised by wolves and the proud owner of a horned pig named Merlin, Waylon Gray knew he wasn't like other people, but when he single-handedly stopped that tornado on a stormy Christmas day in Oklahoma, he realized just how different he actually was. So I think we've got some magical surrealism, elemental magic in here, and it just looks so inviting. One that I have read is Be Not Far From Me from Mindy McGinnis. This one was like a 3.5 for me, so it was like good, not like an all-time favorite, but the atmosphere of the woods and like trying to survive and like finding your way was like exactly what I want for HIKEATHON, like a wilderness book. I know our main character is very familiar with like wilderness survival, prefers being out in nature. Main character goes hiking in the Smokies and at night when they're like camping and having a fire, and our main character finds her boyfriend with another girl and she like in a drunken rage like runs off into the woods, and then she gets lost and has to like find her way home and survive. So it's a decent one if you love like an atmospheric read, a little bit more gritty. I know this dove a little bit too much into her past. Like I would have preferred to stay like in the story of her like trying to survive in the woods a little bit more, but overall a great one for HIKEATHON and fits a lot of badges. To Best the Boys by Mary Weber. This was one of my favorite covers. I love it so much. And I found this like cool stained edge edition as well, which is really fun. Donna Disguise, Survive the Labyrinth, and Beat the Boys. Every year for the past 54 years, the residents of Pinesbury Port have received a mysterious letter inviting all eligible aged boys to compete for an esteemed scholarship to the all-male Stemwick University. The poorer residents look to see if their names are in the list. The wealthier look to see how likely their sons are to survive. And Wren Teller opens it to see if she can derive which substances the ink and parchment are created from using her father's microscope. In the Providence of Caldon, women train in wifely duties and men pursue collegiate education, and 16-year-old Wren Teller wants nothing more than to become a scientist. As the poor of her seaside town fall prey to a deadly disease, she and her father work desperately to find the cure. When her mom succumbs to it as well, Wren decides to take the future into her own hands through the annual all-male scholarship competition. So she like disguises herself as a boy and enters this like labyrinth maze. It sounds very cool. So excited. This one has like a similar vibe to it. The June Boys by Court Stevens. So the Gemini Thief is a serial kidnapper who takes 3 boys and holds them captive from June 1st to June 30th of the following year. The June Boys endure 13 months of being stolen, hidden, observed, and fed before they were released unharmed by their masked captor. The thief is a pro, having eluded authorities for nearly a decade and taken at least 12 boys. Now, Theo Delacroix has reason to believe that the Gemini Thief has taken a 13th victim, her cousin, Alice McLaughlin. But the game changes when one of the kidnapped boys turns up dead, and together with her boyfriend Nick and her best friend, Thea is determined to find the Gemini Thief and the remaining boys before it is too late. Very cool, giving me kind of Grace Year meets the Maze Runner vibes. Seems like a really good one for a survival read. Nowhere on Earth by Nick Lake. Look at this snowy cover. It is very cool. So we're in the middle of the Alaskan wilderness, and our main character will do anything to keep her and her brother safe, and then these mysterious men in suits start following her, and they have to kind of go on the run. It sounds very cool. So we'll have to see, but I hope to read this one soon. The Wild Huntress by Emily Lloyd Jones. I've been meaning to read this one for a little bit. This one I think came out last year. I love Emily Lloyd Jones so much. Her, The Hearts We Steal, and The Bone Houses are two of my favorite books. This is a YA standalone but set in the world of the Bone Houses, and it is a fantasy. So every 5 years, two kingdoms take part in a wild hunt. Joining is a bloody risk, and even the best hunters can suffer the most gruesome fate. Hundreds of people gamble their lives to participate, all vying for the hunt's life-changing prize, a magical wish granted by the other king. So we've got like a fae element in here as well. Sounds awesome. The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. I think I've only read one Riley Sager so far. I'm on the fence of how I feel about the writing style, but willing to try the rest of them because of how beloved all the books are. So we're following Casey, and she is a recently widowed actress trying to escape a streak of bad press. She retreats to the peace and quiet of her family's lake house in Vermont. Armed with a pair of binoculars and several bottles of bourbon, she passes the time watching Tom and Catherine Royce, the glamorous couple living in the house across the lake. They make for good viewing. A tech innovator, Tom, is powerful, and a former model, Catherine, is gorgeous. One day on the lake, Casey saves Catherine from drowning, and the two strike up a budding friendship. But the more they get to know each other, the longer Casey watches, the more it becomes clear that Catherine and Tom's marriage isn't all it appears to be. I think we have like a woman in the window vibe with this one, but I love like the cabin on a lake vibes. Excited to try it out. Leave the World Behind by Rumaan Alam. I found this one recently at Dollar Tree, you guys. So make sure to check frequently because they don't always have a ton of stuff, but they get stuff randomly. This is an adult standalone, I think thriller or maybe mystery. Amanda and Clay head out to the remote corner of Long Island expecting a vacation, a quiet reprieve from the life in New York, quality time with their teenage son and daughter, and a taste for the good life in the luxurious home they've rented for the week. Ruth and GH are an older couple who claim to own the home, but with a late night knock on the door, the spell is broken. Ruth and GH are an older couple who claim to own the home, having arrived there in a panic. These strangers say that a sudden blackout has swept New York, and with nowhere else to turn, they've come to the country in search of shelter. But with the TV and internet down and no cell phone service, the facts are unknowable. Should Amanda and Clay trust this intruding couple, and vice versa? What has really happened back in New York? So possibly post-apocalyptic vibe, possibly like survival-y, but it just seems really fun. Lastly, we have Crazy Dangerous. Look how perfect this looks for HIKEATHON by Andrew Klavan. You see that dead guy by the side of the road? Yeah, the one lying in the pool of his own blood with his face all messed up and his clothes torn and dirty. That's me, Sam Hopkins. And okay, I'm not really dead, or at least not completely. I've just been beaten up a lot, which I guess is a little better than being dead. Although when I think about it, I'm going to have to explain this to my parents, and frankly, dead doesn't seem like such a bad alternative. You're probably wondering how I got myself into this situation. You probably want to hear about Jennifer and the demons and how I played chicken with a freight train, and oh yeah, the weird murder and how I found out about it. You're definitely going to want to hear about that, but first I have to tell you about the stupidest thing I ever did. What a fun little teaser. So this sounds like it's just going to be like a fun time. I really like a silly kind of style of writing, so it seems like there's going to be a little paranormal stuff in here, a little survival-y. Perfect. Okay, you guys, that is my giant stack of HIKEATHON themed books. A lot of really fun things. I will link my full HIKEATHON playlist from past years because I have a HIKEATHON themed book haul for every year. This is technically the start of our 7th year doing HIKEATHON. I have tons of other like recommendation videos, TBR videos, and all that kind of fun stuff, but stay tuned because I'll have 1 to 2 recommendation videos and my TBR as well to give you more ideas for your own TBR. So get ready to get all of the options for HIKEATHON. This is my favorite readathon of the year. It is so fun. You don't have to do any of the physical activities or even the reading badges if you don't want to participate. Just read one book within the theme and you're good to go. Make sure to check it out on Storygraph, as well as I have the challenge over there, which is a really fun app that keeps up with like different stats and things. Also, I got some of these books from Pango, which is a really great place to find gently used books. Like, it's all book people on there, book lovers. A lot of times they'll send little stickers and things things with the books, which is really fun. You can get some really good deals. I've gotten a lot of like special editions on there for like less than $10. And I have a Pango code because I'm a Pango ambassador. If you use my code, you get $5 off your first order. Then they give me a little credit towards future books. So that's always fun because I'll have more book hauls in the future as well. I will also link my Bookoutlet code, which gives you a discount on your order as well. That is a good place to get brand new books for very cheap, like under $10. A lot of them are even under $6. They're brand new. They're just back stock from like Target, Barnes & Noble, like all those fun places. And sometimes they're only a few months old. Like I found new releases the same year that they came out, just a few months later on there. So check up on there. They change it weekly as well. Not a sponsored video, but I do have referral codes just to give me little book credits on their account. So that's very exciting, very fun. Lots of other fun things in the description as well. So make sure to check everything out. Let me know if you plan on participating in HIKEATHON. Share this video with any of your friends that would love this kind of readathon, or even if you just like to read this kind of book during this time of year. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at The Bright Side Girl if you haven't already. I do a ton of bookish content over there as well. And I will see you guys next time on The Bright Side.